What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this very special candidate interview on MCSC. As always, I'm your humble host, Niko House, and today I have a very special guest, Lauren Ashcroft, running for Congress. Lauren, can you let the people know a little bit about yourself, where you're running at, what you do now, and what your campaign is about?
Yeah, so I am Lauren Ashcroft. I'm running in District 12, New York for Congress, and I lead a very strange triple life right now. I'm a project manager with a full-time job. I am a stand-up comedian, and the third part of my life is I am running for Congress as a candidate. So balancing a little lot right now, but making it work because this is how the grassroots progressive movement works.
No sleep.
Yeah, lots of coffee.
Well, you know, I'm friends with a stand-up comedian that delves into some politics. Jimmy Dore, if you're anything like Jimmy, I got a lot of faith in your candidacy. So what are the main issues that you're running on in New York?
Yeah, so I am so passionate about getting big money out of politics. Every single problem that we are facing in our society can be tied to big money in politics. For example, why we still have such a broken medical system, a for-profit healthcare system that people actually ration their life-saving medications so that they can afford to live. They go bankrupt for going to the emergency room. Even if you are insured, you can get caught in-network, out-of-network. You can get caught with huge co-insurance co-pays. And if your employer changes their deal with whatever health insurer they're using, you might have to switch all of your doctors.
Yeah,
With
they don't have to
single
consult
payer,
with you either.
yeah, exactly. So with single payer Medicare for all, there is no in-network, out-of-network. Everyone's just insured, and that is exactly where we need to go and cut out that private middleman leap in the middle of me and getting my treatment that I need. I do not believe that anyone should be burdened for the rest of their life financially because they want to live. So number one, yeah, single payer Medicare for all. The environment. If we don't have a planet, then what is even all of this? So I am very strongly supportive of the Green New Deal. I want to ban single-use plastics. We did not always rely on single-use plastics, and I think that is an area where we can afford to actually move
Which is
backward.
cheaper, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And also, we subsidize factory farms. We subsidize the fossil fuel industry with our taxes, and these subsidies need to end ASAP because we actually, with factory farming, are contributing to greenhouse gases at huge rates, and we can actually start to move in the direction of carbon neutral or even carbon negative. So one thing that the Green New Deal, I think, should include is legalizing cannabis and federally, because what is better than planting a whole bunch of green plants instead of leveling forests for factory farms and dairy farms?
That's true. Very true. What do you think about the OFF Act, which is some of the language from the House version of the Green New Deal is actually taken from Tulsi Gabbard's All Fossil Fuels Act, which Elon and AOC and even Rashida Tlaib actually they campaigned on this because it was endorsed by 400 climate and environmental organizations. So do you think that Tulsi is also the one who actually introduced the federal legalization bill?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the OFF Act in conjunction with the Green New Deal? Because you may get faced with this. This is like kind of how, especially whenever, well, hopefully elections will be over and you'll be in and it won't be as contentious at that point. Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
have somebody in office. But, you know, sometimes it comes to playing politics. They'll say, hey, well, what are you going to push? You got a resolution or you got the bill? How do you think you would handle that?
Honestly, I'm going to be supportive of any aggressive measure that we take to move to a true green country. That we have the option to do that. I also like the idea of a federal jobs guarantee where we employ people to move us to a green way. and improving our infrastructure and building a green grid, all for livable wages. So all of these measures, I think everyone bringing their ideas to the table and everyone bringing a passion for saving our planet is the exact right direction we need to go.
Okay, that's good stuff. So I'd like to shift a little bit to foreign policy. As you know, this has been a huge issue amongst the progressive movement. I feel like oftentimes the mainstream media tries to kind of treat foreign policy as an afterthought. But I think, as a progressive, you know that foreign policy is almost symbiotic with our domestic policy. Anything that you want to do as a congresswoman, um,
Mhm.
if they use one excuse, it's going to be that we don't have the money, right? So where do you stand as far as like the military industrial complex?
Yeah.
Do you feel like we have to negotiate and be as diplomatic as possible with various world leaders, regardless of if they're adversary, quote unquote adversarial or not? Or do you believe we should pick and choose based off of who we consider allies?
Oh, I am for ending endless wars. And I think that we should actually be emphasizing diplomatic action. And we can make allies with countries that are not necessarily who we would consider in our top allies right now. And that's exactly where we should be moving in the direction of partnership and working together instead of thinking of the first response of parking tanks and drones and bombs in other people's countries.
Yeah, it seems like we're really quick to like debate which bomb we should use before we
Yeah,
debate, who we should be talking
yeah,
to. 100% agree. So, what would be the committee that you would like to be put on when you get into
yeah.
Congress?
Okay, so this is one of my
Pitch it to me.
deepest
I'm Nancy
passions.
Pelosi. Okay, I'm a progressive too, everybody. So tell me what you want, and I'll give you a phone number, and you can start calling some donors. Who do you want to? What committee? What committee do you want to be on?
So I would love to serve on the Financial Services Committee. I have a background in working in the financial services industry, and I feel like I understand how the industry works. And I've seen firsthand how regulations do not do enough to protect us, citizens, taxpayers, constituents, from having to bail the banks out. So we have bailed banks out, and whenever it comes around to people needing health insurance and us improving our infrastructure and uh, so many things that we claim we don't have resources for, programs that keep people alive, we don't have the resources. A lot of leaders like to say, well, I would like to make sure that if we're willing to bail out banks, we're willing to bail out people as well. But I want to make sure that regulations are in place that prevent us from being affected by the decisions that senior executives make in banks. So I am for reinstating the Glass-Steagall Act in a modernized way. And the Dodd-Frank rollback is horrifying. And as someone who
Made situation
just,
worse. Dodd-Frank did it made banks bigger. Actually,
yeah,
a lot of people don't know that yet.
exactly. Yes, and we're rolling back these regulations. It was not that long ago that the economy tanked, and it is my personal opinion that we're moving in the same direction in a downward spiral. And what does it take for us to learn our lessons? I would love to sit on the committee and hold banks accountable to people, since people have bailed them out not that long ago.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree. Now, I've noticed something throughout this entire interview. You seem to be a little bit too focused on policies, but you haven't attacked Trump at all. Why is that? You're not going to just relentlessly attack Trump instead of talking about the issues. Lauren, what's up with that? Come on.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I hate to give him attention. So that I just feel like mainstream media is so focused on giving him constant 24/7 attention. And actually it's great that you bring this up as a joke, because like this is why I appreciate independent media.
Oh, well, hey, look, it's funny because for me, for a long time, people were like, well, why don't you cover Trump more? And I was like, bruh, He's on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, TYT, every other independent journal. What can I add to everything you've just heard about this? Like, you want me to tell you the same, like to reaffirm what the other guy down the street just said? Y'all don't like him. We get it. He's an idiot, does stupid stuff. You know, like, well, okay, hold on. I got to give him props for firing Bolton. I got to give him props for that. But other than that, you know, you got to give him props where props due. But I agree with you. I think that you would probably agree that Trump is a symptom of the system, in that we got to treat the cancer, not the symptoms of the cancer. That's not going to cure it. And you know, I feel like a lot of politicians who try and run on how bad Trump is, it's really exposing the lack of authenticity, or maybe the lack of conviction in their own campaign. Like, if you have a strong issue-based campaign, which is what I originally loved about AOC's campaign, because I don't remember, she didn't talk about Trump at all during her like rise to stardom. And I think that was actually a huge boost for her, because she didn't give it anything but the issues that she was running on.
It's just, we have this amazing progressive movement across the entire country. I'm one of many people that I feel is running for the right reasons. And what we need to do is be issue and policy focused and tell everyone what the possibilities are, and that we do have hope if we get out to vote and we support these campaigns that want to get in there and make change, and aren't going to analyze whether an idea is popular or use buzzwords, but lead conversations and push us in this new direction. So I am for us talking about these things that we can actually do, because so much time and energy is devoted on negativity and what's going on in the White House. And we know it. We know exactly we need to get him out. I called for his impeachment as I'm the first person in the district that did that. And there's really nothing more I have to say. I know that he needs to go, and I have a platform that I think would be really great for my district.
Well, it sounds like it. Now I got to ask you a tough question. So this is one of my fastballs. Tiffany Caban did an amazing job, ran an amazing campaign. I'm sure you would agree with me. She likely won, right? I think that everybody in the progressive movement who's looking is like, okay, clearly she won, but they cheated her. Now, you're running in a primary, correct? Or are you running so if you're running in a primary, it's a high chance that your own party might cheat you as a progressive. Actually, it's almost a guarantee. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's almost a guarantee. How will you handle that situation if it happens to you?
Yeah, so one of the things that we are taught in trainings about running for Congress as a first-time candidate is you have to fundraise, just in case you have to be represented in court. If your ballots, your petitions are in question, if the votes are in question, you have to be ready with a bunch of money, unfortunately. So that is one way we've been knocking on every door that we can and calling everybody that we can. And we've been raising money in a grassroots way. And I'm pretty excited about our next quarterly report, because I think it'll be pretty strong.
First of all, let me just say, that's a quick way to raise some money in the progressive movement, because and that's the first time I've ever heard it put like that. So that's interesting, because a lot of people, you know, when they think about election rigging, they always think of how to react to it, right? Rather than how to prepare for it. And for you to say, hey, I mean, I know traditionally we think about election, the fundraising for, operational matters, but really, if you're a progressive, you got more volunteers than anything. You might have 3 or 4 people on the payroll, and you have more volunteers than anything. But as a progressive, it's what comes next, what you have to prepare for, getting those petitions out soon, getting into court as quickly as possible, getting the best lawyer you can find, and challenging it. And then also letting the establishment know in advance, we are going to challenge it. So you need to stay on your P's and Q's, because if you don't, then we're gonna make it hell for you. And so let me just say, I appreciate that as an election integrity activist, because I witnessed Tim Canova get literally they destroyed his ballots. I mean they got convicted of it. They only got fined $200,000 for destroying his ballots.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have known that if he didn't challenge it. We wouldn't know how rampant election fraud was in the general election if Jill Stein didn't challenge it and then ultimately get paper ballots, hand counted paper ballots in Pennsylvania because of what she found through her lawsuit. So I sincerely appreciate it. I hope they don't cheat you. I hope that you can overcome that. And because of the circumstances of it being a general election year, progressives tend to prosper when there is high voter turnout. So
yeah,
that looks good for you.
Yeah, and one of the issues that first-time candidates run into is having the signatures on the petition to get on the ballot questioned. And what we can do is just keep growing our volunteer team and making sure that we have so many signatures that no one can question enough of them.
I'm telling you, that's a really good way to do it. That's a really good way to do it. Oh, one more thing. What do you think about ranked choice voting and pushing for that once you get in Congress? Because there's currently nobody pushing for it. People who mention it. There are states who've even passed it, but there's no one pushing for it.
Oh my gosh, ranked choice voting, yes, 100% yes. It enhances democracy and people's voices. And I was just at New King's Democrat meeting last week, I think it was, and we did a test ranked choice voting election just as an experiment. And if you really look at how ranked choice voting works, it allows you to amplify your own voice. And if you don't want to vote for everyone in a rank, you don't have to. You can just put one person. But you can also order the people on the ballot the way that you believe it should be ordered, and it helps.
It does.
Especially in a crowded primary.
Yeah, right now, I would imagine it's which is as great as sucky as it sounds. If there was a ranked choice voting hell right now, you would probably see some combination of Bernie, Tulsi, Yang, and Warren. I roll, but just being honest. Like, I seriously, and the reason why is mostly because for example, if Biden is your number one, guess who the next likely candidate to be your number two is?
Isn't it Bernie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if Bernie is your number one, your next likely candidate is probably going to be Tulsi or Yang, because they both have similar working class demographics. So like Warren could have a bunch of number ones and then have a bunch of number like 5 or 6s, or not even be in so not even be in the top 4 to even be ranked. And so it would show that the demographic of America likes her, but more of a wider demographic would accept either Bernie, Tulsi, or Yang, for example. And and it also lets the candidates know, okay, maybe if these people are the most similar to me ideologically, or at least amongst our constituency, if I'm going to take my mandate in whether it be Congress or as president, and try and affect change legislatively, well, maybe it will be smart to have these people on my team going into these states, advocating for what we're trying to push, and taking it from there. Ranked choice voting does have a lot of benefits, not only for the candidate, but for how to operate after you win that office.
Absolutely. I'm totally for it. And I'm for any measure that allows people to amplify their own voice. So that's one of them. I also love the idea of every single voter getting mailed a mail-in ballot with return postage. And then in that package that you receive, it also has information about what the election is for, and then brief summaries about who's running, and like a little bit about them and where to find more information about each candidate, like their website. So I love thank you. That's one of my ideas for how to make elections more accessible. Not everyone can take off of work and still be able to pay for food for their children. Not everyone can get to the ballots because of disabilities or sickness, and it's not always easy to qualify for an absentee ballot.
And I would even say that the establishment oftentimes takes advantage of that. People who can't get to the polls, with Why is it every time a person can't get to a poll, they have to get a provisional ballot instead of us having a streamlined look? Everybody has an opportunity to vote in so everybody's getting the mail-in ballot. Do you need it? No, but it's a way to keep accountability. Okay, they say they voted, they didn't vote with the mail-in ballot, but they voted here. Or you have an extra accountability, but they voted this way with the mail-in ballot. They have it right here, and with their hand-counted paper ballot at the voting booth, they voted here. So, like, if there is a dispute to be made, that actually helps a lot too. So that's actually a really good idea. I hadn't even thought of it until you just said that. That's a really good idea.
Hey, thanks. So. Thank you so much.
So, I want to let you get a plug in before you go. I know you said you did stand-up comedy. So, are you doing anything anytime soon?
Yes, we are actually planning a stand-up comedy show, and I will be very vocal about the date and location all over social media. So please watch for it. I would love to have everyone there, and we will have lots of fun together. And I did have just another way to enhance election integrity and like this big money in politics that is just at the center of all of these issues. I really love the idea of democracy vouchers, democracy dollars that's floating around. I had an idea of a tax credit that you just check a box for on your federal income taxes, and you would get $100 that you could use for donating to a federal campaign that you believe in. But to accept that $100 on the candidate side, you have to reject corporate and super PAC money.
Damn! Yeah. Using their own interest against them. That's why I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a good one.
Are you really gonna reject every single person that supports
in the
you?
country?
$100?
Yeah, everybody. Oh, yeah, you gotta give me that $100. I need that $100. I need that. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if they absolutely refuse to get on board with where we're headed in this country, which is people-powered politics, then they would have to add a whole bunch of new compliance steps to their process. So on their Act Blue forms, they'd have to add a question: is this part of your tax credit? And if they get mailed a check, they have to have their team members reach out to the donor and make sure this isn't part of the tax credit.
Oh,
so
wow.
It would be really annoying.
To make it, inexpensive on their behalf too. It'll end up costing them money to not to take corporate money at that point. And that's good. And they're really bad about how they manage their money. So I'm sure they can't afford anything else, any more bureaucracy in the campaign. I mean, you see how quick Joe Biden and Kamala, they burn through their money. Every time they raise it, they burn through it. So that's good stuff. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Lauren. I wish you luck. For everybody who wants to donate to Lauren's campaign, as you can see, she's really astute and well thought out when it comes to election integrity. Obviously, the environment and climate change and all the things that matter to, well, not even just progressives, but really everybody, populists everywhere. That's what she's fighting for. And if you're in New York, you know that big money in politics is the bane of your existence, literally. So go to Lauren Ashcraft. Am I pronouncing that right? Lauren Ashcraft?
Yep. Yeah.
LaurenAshcraft.com, and you can go donate to her campaign. And like I said, she's clearly not just trying to fight for you during the election. She plans on fighting for you after the election, no matter which way it falls. So make sure you go donate to her. Other than that, always remember, more than anything else, people, find your balance. Peace. All right.
Awesome.
Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Also, you can help us upgrade the studio and take this show on the road to cover the on-the-ground politics that you love by clicking on that GoFundMe link in the description and donating literally anything. Anything helps. Also, you can follow us on Rockfin, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And hey, more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace.